Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at the bridge workflow for inLab Software 22 in the inLab CAD. So when we're in the administration, you set this up very much like you would if you were in CEREC. So if you're a CEREC user, you'll see that it's very, very similar. So for the crown, obviously, if you were doing layering, if you were going to be layering porcelain, you could do coping or Pontic framework. Otherwise, you can simply identify it as a crown and your Pontic, of course, in question. Now, you also have the option for connector type, anatomic or intersecting. I personally like intersecting for interior cases where they're full contour bridges. I just find that the aesthetics look a lot better where the embrasures are concerned. Where the anatomic is concerned, you would just have more control over how you actually, bulk up the connectors themselves in terms of like knowing the millimeters and things like that. Whereas intersecting, you'll see in the design phase, we almost kind of have them interlocking with each other. Now, in this particular case, given that it's a 2-1 to a 2-3, I have it mirroring the quad 1, just so that we have symmetry. Again, it's optional to do that if we wanted to go the anatomic route, have it propose a design start to finish. We could do so, or if we wanted to copy the pre-op bite, we could also do that with regular biocopy as well too. In terms of the model phase, you'll see that all of these steps are the exact same as when you're doing a crown. So again, I always say if you can design a crown, you can design a bridge in inLab very easily. When it comes to drawing the margin, still the exact same. It'll automatically propose the margin for you. However, you have full control to be able to edit it where applicable. What's really important in this step though is the set insertion axis option. When you're dealing with a bridge, you always want to make sure that before you hit apply view direction, you're taking into consideration the draw, right? Because again, when we're looking at teeth that are splinted together like a bridge, we want to make sure that the path of insertion is the best possible. And then this last step here, because I did choose copy and mirror, it's going to ask me to do a copy line for those 3 individual teeth for this particular bridge in question from an adjacent perspective. So in this case, the 1-1 to the 1-3. So you can, again, just be able to edit these copy lines to determine what you specifically want to have the software propose. The same in terms of the anatomy details. So the lingual, obviously that can be helpful for when you're dealing with the bite, if the bite is ideal for the adjacent teeth, but more so you want to focus obviously on the facial aspect of the teeth to ensure that it gives the best possible result from an aesthetic quality perspective so that it again has that symmetry where the anatomy is concerned. So you're just editing this like you would a margin. So you're double clicking with your left cursor. Single clicks will help you curve that line and then a double click to finish. And then you just go through on the left-hand side each individual tooth to make sure that you, of course, consider all the aspects that you want to copy for this copy and mirror functionality. And then the same thing here for the canine. I'm going to fix it, and that's about it for the copy line. I always want to make sure that I don't go too close to the embrasures because you can find that it doesn't copy that as easily because it can't view obviously the contact itself. Then when it comes to the design, obviously when it has the copy and mirror selected, it's going to give us a proposal best fit for the anatomy detail. So obviously I have full control with the usual tools, the move and rotate tools, the scale tools, the shape tools, the form tools, whatever I might see fit to be able to move things around and obviously be in the best fit proposal perspective. But when we look at the anatomy details, you can see that it's copied quite nicely the actual facial aspect, especially where that kind of 1/3 of the tooth is concerned. So then from here, obviously a couple things I can do, move and rotate where I see fit, again, adjust the contacts where I see fit as well too. So when it comes to the intersecting connectors that I've chosen, you can see on the left-hand side right now, my connectors have warnings. And that's basically because it's recommending that I obviously bulk those up a little bit to ensure that I have enough material for that zirconia to ensure that there's no fractures or breakage or anything like that. So from this point onwards, again, it's really designing this the exact same way that you would a traditional crown case as well. The one thing that you will notice in just a moment here that I'm going to do is I'm going to select my Pontic on the left-hand side of the screen, and then I'm going to be able to edit the baseline. Where this is key is obviously being able to get the best fit emergence profile of the actual Pontic tooth to obviously make it in line with actually looking like a regular crown versus obviously a fake Pontic at this point. So you can see here I can either drag the line or I can edit the line. I personally prefer edit line. I just find it works better in my hands, but again, completely up to the operator on which you choose. It just determines, again, the border of where you want that to sit. But as you adjust that, you'll be able to see that it changes the shape and the size of the Pontic accordingly based on that emergence profile that you set. Okay. So at this point in time, after that, it really is the exact same tools that you're familiar with. So you can see the form tool, the move tool, the shape tool, the reduce tool if you did want to do a cutback of any kind for the actual Pontic or the crowns, or all three if you wanted in this case. And then incisal variation. Now incisal variation, obviously if you're doing the anatomic route where you're having the software designed from scratch, the incisal variation tool is really key, because then you can of course be able to make sure that you mimic mamelons and things like that to again add definition and features to the facial aspect of the teeth. But I find when it comes to doing the copy function, it's completely copied what's adjacent to it, right? So again, it doesn't really make too much sense to have to adjust that. Now, when it comes to the intersecting connectors, you can see here that I use the form tool to add material and the shape tool to add material in between the teeth, just to make sure that, again, I get rid of those warnings, because that's a warning and a visual aid to ensure that I take into consideration that that particular intersecting connector might have been a little bit too loose, which obviously isn't ideal for a final case being obviously manufactured in zirconia. So then here I'm just adjusting my other contacts in terms of the distal of the canine and the mesial of the 2-1. Now when it comes to the finalized phase, it basically at this point fuses everything together as one full contour bridge. And then if I wanted to at this point in time go through one last look with the tools, to use the form tool or the shape tool to kind of just finalize things, but obviously in one piece, this is the space to do so. So again, when it comes to the bridge workflow, very similar to crown. If you can design a crown, you can design a bridge. Really just a couple extra steps for that Pontic. But other than that, it's just determining which direction you want to go with designing, either anatomic, designing it from scratch, the copy with biocopy, obviously, or copy and mirror, which we did here. And then, of course, determining your connectors being intersecting or anatomic. Okay, so this has been the bridge workflow in inLab CAD 22. Come back for more videos and have a great day.